Hello everybody. Today I'm going to discuss the mirror box of the Nikon F and where and how you should lubricate this thing. Okay, so let's begin now. It's kind of difficult to frame this thing because it's taller than it's wide. Hold on, let me check something. Okay, so this mirror box came to me with a cracked mirror, and I replaced the mirror, and I was tightening these two retainers over here and here. The new mirror cracked, and here it is, along with the old mirror. I actually wasted a good spare mirror that I have, and that's not really very cool, but I believe there's something wrong with this mirror, or rather the frame of the mirror. It feels like somebody has messed around with this mirror box, probably a much lesser experienced repair guy. Okay, because I had to mess around with the mirror box before it began working properly. Okay, so it's actually very annoying. Okay, where were we? Okay, before that, the mirror box of the Nikon F is very simple. Most of the things are on the right side of the housing, and there's nothing much on the left side of the housing. All you get is just this free moving lever that we will clean a bit. There's some excess oil. Oops. Okay, fine, there's no excess oil over here. Okay, I usually don't go around and waste my time to not modify, yeah, modify something here to and adjust the levers over here and here. I believe that somebody might have messed around with this thing, and yeah, so the frame was a little bit bent, I suppose. That's why the new mirror cracked as well. That's not cool. And I found that this thing was bent a little bit out of shape, which is sometimes inevitable because you know, as you move this thing, the the mirror charge lever gets warped. That's kind of inevitable because this camera is very old. So yeah, I had to mess around with the spring over here and the lock of the pole over here. Okay, so one thing that I would like you guys to pay attention to is, as you can see, most of the things that are happening here on the Nikon F mirror box housing is on the right side, okay? And that's true also on the opposite side, because these things are connected to these things. Now, it's not unusual to find that the left side of the housing is less shiny than the right one, because no matter how careful you clean it, oil will migrate and it will spread. See? Nice and dry, a little bit oily. nice and dry, a little bit oily. So I will take a Q-tip and wipe the inner surface of this thing one more time. But over time, it's gonna seep into this part of the mirror box housing, and that's kind of inevitable sometimes. So one more thing. Okay, so you see these bare brass spots, and there's a bare shiny aluminium spot over here. So those things will have to be painted over with black enamel, just so that it doesn't reflect light. Okay. Okay, so let's begin with the mirror box lubrication guide. Okay, so this thing is the main spring. So all the potential energy is charged in this spring. Okay, so this lever is the main lever, and it gets pushed every time you cock your camera or you advance your camera. And this thing is the mirror down lever, and this one activates the lock, and this one is for the mirror lock up, not option, mirror lock up lever. Okay, so check this out. So we have the mirror box on the down position. I want you guys to pay attention to what's inside. It can be hard to see, but okay. This thing is a hook, and it catches onto this thing over here with a disgusting green corrosion, which I will have to clean later on. Okay, so that's annoying. So yeah, so once this thing is pressed up, it disengages the lock. Okay, and then as you do that, you would cock your mirror and it would do this. Okay, I wonder if I can zoom out any further. Okay, so check this out. To do this, while it's doing that, it does a couple of things. Okay, it depresses the mirror, what they call this, no, it depresses the aperture stop down lever, so your iris closes, and then it lifts the mirror, and as it does that, I'm gonna zoom in. This thing engages. Okay, and if you're on the mirror lock-up position mode, no, I keep on saying mode because I came from digital. Okay, so if you set your mirror lock-up to something like this, this will hold down the mirror so it doesn't come back. Okay, so to disengage it, you do this. Okay, now I'm gonna do the cycle again. I'm gonna show you the other side of the housing. So you see this. Oops, let me zoom out again. Okay, so you see this little lever over here. So what this does is it's always in this position, okay? Because you remember that button at the, not button, the, let me show you. Where is it? Okay, so you remember this part, right? So you can't release the shutter without depressing on this lever, right? Remember that? Okay. And if you remember our previous video, this lock is responsible for the ratchet underneath. Okay, so this lever is actually connected to this thing. Okay, so it's always on this position. Okay, let me cut this thing up. So oops. Okay, so when the mirror goes up, it will hit this thing. Okay, and then it will push it like this, and that would push on this and turn, and then it will disengage the lock underneath. Okay, now here's the beauty of the Nikon Mirrorbox, or rather the Nikon F Mirrorbox. So you do this, let me zoom out again. Oh, this is the furthest thing go. Okay, so the shutter only actuates when the mirror is up. Okay, like this, and then it will only close after making an exposure. Okay, it does this. So that's very clever if you ask me, because that prevents the mirror covering the frame. Okay, so parts that you should lubricate. So as usual, you would want to put some grease on this part, because like I said, it's actuated in the previous video. Anything that's charged or actuated by manual force, you would want to apply some grease, and you oil this a little bit, this part as well, because this thing should move freely. This part too, not that you don't want to put too many oil here, and here as well. This thing, this arm, so that it moves very smoothly. Okay, yes, and this part too. And of course, you've seen the oily bit here, and you want to put some oil here as well. And most especially here, this one and this one. Okay, that's the hinge for the mirror housing. So, but you don't want to put too much, because if you put too much here, the oil is going to migrate elsewhere. Okay, so what else? Okay, so inside this mirror box, you would want to, let's zoom in further. Okay, you would want to it's very hard to point. You want to lubricate this part and this part over here. This part. And most especially this part. That's very important. Okay, so that's the things that you should lubricate. And yeah, I would like to share what I just did. I actually believe that this mirror box was tampered with, because this thing, the lock for the, see that thing moving? The lock for the mirror, I think it's bent or whatever, but I had to file it down by quite a lot just so that it catches on this thing. And that's something that I never really did, and it should come out of the factory in perfect condition. So that's very, very weird. And one more thing, you'd want to pay attention to how this spring is overlapped. Okay, so it should be overlapped like this and not the other way around. If you got it the other way around, then this thing won't, this lever won't operate freely. So yeah, that's very annoying, because the Nikon F mirror box is very reliable in many ways because it's simple, but I had to modify this thing, or rather fix it. I think that's a better word. So yeah, that's one thing that you should be very careful about. So okay, so I have a couple more minutes left, and I'm gonna show you this one. So these are both ladder type mirror box housings, but you can see some differences, right? I believe this is very weird, the one on the left. It came from a very early F on the 64 block. Well, not super early, but early enough to have the diagonal timing self-timer lever, and the pattern stamped on the inner part of the urabuta. What do you call that in English? Urabuta is the camera back. Okay, so it's kind of early, but it's showing some later features like this thing, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Anyway, so there are two types. There's type 1 and type 2, and both of these are type 2s, because type 1 has another arm here with another set of springs. So yeah, this is very weird. This is probably a test or a transitional type mirror box housing, but I don't know. I'm not an expert on this. I'm not NHS. I'm NJS, which stands for Nikon Junk Sanctuary. This is the place where junk Nikons find love and live the rest of their lives in peace. So yeah, that's very odd. So I wonder what's going on with this thing. Let's find some more differences. Okay, I guess that's it. By the way, this is one of the spare parts, Mirrorbox housings that I use. So yeah, that's very weird, huh? Anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. So yeah, check out my website. That's richardhard.com. That's RICHARDHAW.com for more related stuff about Nikon and contacts and Nika. Okay? There's something that I messed up. So see, this spring should be like this, and mine is like this. I have to fix this later. Anyway, see you guys again in the next video. Bye bye.